What's up, you guys? I'm LQ. This is the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. This is where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. Movies, video games, comic books, and TV shows. Right now, I'm going to give you guys a review of the new shark movie, No Way Up. If you've been around this channel for any amount of time, you probably have heard me talk about shark movies. I love shark movies. Great ones like Jaws, which isn't really a shark movie, by the way. But Jaws, The Shallows, The Reef, great shark movies I love. I also love bad ones, like ones that are so bad they're good, like Sharknado and things like that. I have a good time watching these. I'll admit that there's shark movies out there that are difficult to get through. And when I watch and review those, I definitely tell you guys, skip this one. But when I sit down to watch a shark movie, I'm optimistic because I think I'm going to have a good time. And I often go into it with the mindset that I'm going to find things that I like in this movie. So imagine the irony here when I sit down to watch No Way Up, thinking I'm going to get a great shark movie because I really like the trailer, and then discovering that the sharks were the worst thing in this movie. This would have been a better movie without the sharks. So this is about a plane, a plane that has passengers on it that's on its way, I think, to Cairo. If I remember right, I think it was Cairo. But it's on its way overseas, and there's a bird strike. The plane lands in the water, and it sinks quickly. There's a hole in the plane as it was descending. Part of the plane blew out. There's a hole in it. And when it lands, it almost immediately starts sinking, and it ends up on a slope. And a handful of passengers find themselves trapped in an air pocket on the plane. So the plane is sitting on the bottom of the ocean on a slope, and there's an air pocket, and what do we do now? How do we get out of here? How do we survive this situation? Little do they know that the slope leads down to a cliff, which leads down to a trench that is never ending. So there is a There is a ticking clock in this film, which all good action thriller type movies have a ticking clock. And the actors did a pretty good job of selling the situation they were in, of selling the terror, of selling the claustrophobia. I thought that everybody did a good job here. And this would have been a better movie if the sharks weren't there. So the sharks, they smell the blood, they come into the hole in the plane, and we have sharks on a plane, right? And they're swimming up and down the aisles, eating dead bodies of passengers that died, and ultimately eating some of our survivors. Okay. Here's the problem. When I watch a B shark movie, one of the so bad it's good ones, there's a certain level of seriousness that the filmmakers give those movies. When you watch a movie like Jaws or The Reef or Open Water, and it's a more serious shark movie, there's a certain level of seriousness that the filmmakers give those movies. So those bad B horror movies, they're very tongue-in-cheek, right? And in these tongue-in-cheek shark movies, the sharks aren't behaving like sharks. They're behaving like monsters. They're behaving like things that really don't exist on this planet. Where in movies like Jaws and The Shallows and The Reef, the filmmakers try to be a little more authentic. Now, do the sharks always act like real sharks? No, they don't. Steven Spielberg said himself that when he was making Jaws and it had the tank in its mouth, that he was told by a shark expert that a shark wouldn't do that. But Steven Spielberg said, by this point, I've got the audience, so they'll buy it. There was a certain level of seriousness that he took this movie. And when he did throw in the crazy things that wouldn't really happen, he did it with the expectation that I've done everything right around me. So the audience will buy this. You kind of see the same thing in The Reef. The shark attacks in The Reef are very realistic. Um, People have found themselves in situations like that before and not survived. So when the shark does do something like stalking a group for hours on end, things that sharks probably wouldn't do, chances are, even if a shark does come up and take a bite, it's going to swim away after a while. You buy it as an audience member. And then you look at something like Sharknado. You don't have to buy that the sharks are determined to get these people, because the premise is ridiculous anyways. So here we are in No Way Up, where the director clearly wants to make a very serious thriller that we're supposed to buy as the audience. The stakes are high. The scenario is something that could plausibly happen. People have been stuck in air pockets before on sunken vessels. So the scenario is something that could possibly happen. The people are selling the performance like it's a real scenario. The special effects are good enough to be passable. I'm not sure why this didn't get a theatrical release, honestly. But then you throw the sharks into the mix. And the shark CGI wasn't bad, honestly. And I'm pretty sure they used some practical effects in there, because some of it looked really good. But you have sharks who are acting in a way that they would never act, behaving in ways that they would never behave. So you set us up in this real world scenario, and then you throw in these movie monsters that don't even need to be there. Excuse me. And they create these logic lapses also. So the presence of the sharks means we have to show these sharks. They have to be involved in the action. There's a point near the end of the movie where one of our characters is swimming underwater on the plane to she's looking for a scuba tank that ended up in there, and she ends up scaring the shark away. I'm not gonna tell you how, but the method she uses to scare it away is believable enough, I guess. But she ends up scaring the shark away. She gets and she starts fiddling with the air tank. Someone in the group behind her is swimming, and all of a sudden he gets attacked by a shark, even though the hole in the plane is in front of our first swimmer. So she scares shark away. Presumably it swims outside the plane. Remember, this is in an airplane, a fairly compact area, and she didn't see any other sharks. How did that shark get back on the plane to get this guy? So the sharks create these logic problems that wouldn't be there if they had just had a straight survival story. I would have rather this been as someone who loves shark movies, I would have rather this been a survival story about people on a crashed airplane trying to survive in an air pocket and trying to escape as the plane is slowly getting closer to the edge of this ravine. That would have been more interesting, because whenever the sharks came into action, it became predictable. There were logic leaps, and there was definitely some eye roll moments. So, was this a good movie? Yeah, I think 75% of it was good. The 25% that the sharks were in, I had some problems with. It definitely had some airport vibes, obviously. Obviously this is going to have airport vibes. This also had some Poseidon Adventure vibes. And then obviously throw in cheesy shark movie. I mean, it had some vibes of some other things we've seen before, but 75% of it was done well. The shark stuff, even though the sharks looked believable enough, Much better than I've seen in other movies, but still not the best I've ever seen. They looked good enough. Their behavior, their actions, what they were doing, where they were, the leaps in logic, I had problems with a lot of it. So, yeah. I mean, do I recommend this? Yeah, sure, I recommend it. And hopefully, me letting you know what to expect, maybe you'll get a little more enjoyment out of it than I did. I almost bought it on Vudu. It's $15 on Vudu. I almost bought it. And then I thought to myself, I've been burned by some shark movies lately, so I'm just going to rent it. I'm glad I rented it because I would have felt a little burned had I spent $15 on it. But I don't feel burned that I spent $6 on it. I got my money's worth at $6. So that's my advice. Give it a rental. Check it out. Was it great? No. Was it terrible? No. It was kind of just this middle of the road shark thriller that could have, should have been a lot more. A lot better. They just had too many ingredients in it. All right, guys. Have you seen No Way Up? If so, what did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take on it. While you're down there commenting, hit that subscribe button. Still trying to grow my subscriber base, and that would be great if you would do that for me. So appreciate you guys being here at the LQ Review, and until next time, we'll see you guys later.